want to take you on a tour of our mini back garden homestead here in Scotland, share with you our very first livestock, probably our last livestock, first and last, and also as a holistic nutritionist, why I'm doing this and the principles of slow living nutrition. Let's dive in. So it's been a big news in our household this last week. We have gotten our first animals, our first livestock for our mini homestead, and and there's been a lot of commotion, a lot of fun. The kids have been incredibly excited. So I'm going to share with you, introduce you to the girls. There's 8 of them, and give you a bit of a tour, a bit of a progress update, what we've been harvesting, some of the wins that have been happening here, and also introducing you a little bit to the concept of slow living nutrition. So why I'm doing this as a holistic nutritionist. That is my job. That's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. And it's actually from working with hundreds and hundreds of women, from transforming my own health, from helping loads of other women address their own unique root causes, that has kind of led me to opening and entering this whole new world of homesteading, which I'm really at the beginning at. Like, I'm literally phase 1. And also slow living, and actually seeing the link between slow living and nervous system regulation, and really embracing that more and more in my own life. So let's dive in, and I'm going to show you first the day we got the chickens. So we decided to go as an entire family. So we went before school, and we're a little bit late for school, but we thought the kids were super excited. A bit of a half an hour drive through the countryside. We got the timings wrong a little bit, so we just ended up driving around and found some cows to chat to, as you do. The kids by this point were incredibly excited and obviously needed to pee. So we had to make several stops in the middle of nowhere. And then we get there. We get them loaded up into the car. There was also a whole host of other animals at the place we picked them up. There was goats, there was ducks, there was geese, all sorts. Very exciting. Then we bring them home. We've dropped the kids off at school. They're incredibly excited. It's time to place them in their new home and hope that all our hard work has paid off, and that they are safe and dry and happy in their new little run. You gonna come out? It was a bit scary. Oh, brave one. You've got a whole new place to explore. Look. Hello. Welcome to your new home. Very excited to have you. Aren't you gorgeous? Beautiful colour. Beautiful colour, girls. This is your new home, new house. Hi, girls. So it's day 1 of having chickens. Had them for about 3 hours, but I've actually just been in clients all morning. So I've come in to say hi. I have to say, I am a little bit intimidated by them. They probably feel the same way about me. So one of the things I need to do is, this sounds so silly, and you'd be like, Cassia, why did you get chickens? Is I've yet to pick one up because they move quite fast. So I'm going to try and grab one. I also don't want to hurt them, obviously. So yeah. Also, it's raining. Bless them. Welcome to Scotland. I mean, they're obviously from a farm not far away. But bless them, we need to get a little thing. But anyway, how about I just give you a bit of a tour of the run. I think all the noise was you didn't realise where your food was. It's been here the whole time. forget? Oh, you're all wet. I wanted to bring you home on a big sunny day. Needs to be a project, doesn't it? Get you a bit of shelter. So, my overall homesteading attempts have been pretty poor this year, but this situation is like a many-year dream coming into action, coming to life. I've wanted to keep chickens for ages, so this feels incredibly exciting. I don't think they want to go to bed.
No.
So I think this is swiftly going to become my favourite post-work little ritual. Just saying hello to my new friends. I was chucking it with rain before and I felt very concerned for them, and then had to give myself a little pep talk of just like, these are animals that live outside Kezia. You know, it rained so much in Scotland, and then last night I was sitting in bed being like, what about when it snows? What are we gonna do when it snows? So many things to figure out. Anyway, I'm gonna go say hi. I think we made a mistake, didn't we, girls? I think we put your grit in with your food, which you're not meant to do because you're not eating very much today, have you? So it's been a few days now since we've had the chickens, like 5. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of our Back Garden Homestead, and I feel a little bit like a fraud in this because it's so tiny. You know, if you're watching stuff on YouTube, you'll see people with like acres of land. Like our garden is quite a good sized garden for Scotland, for the UK, but like the homesteading part of it, we're very much at the beginning, the very, very beginning. But I'm going to share it with you because you might be at the beginning too, and I just want to show even just the little things and the little bits of progress. So I'm going to share some of the changes we've very quickly made with our little chicken run and just our little mini homesteading tour and area. So this weekend we actually did do a big tidy up and clear up. This is our old whiskey barrel, which we, is it empty? Oh, it's currently empty. Used to stash whiskey and now we use it for cold plunges. Anyway, but we did do a big tidy up this weekend of the garden, of everything. So I really should have done a before and after because it looks slightly more organized now than it did. But this is basically the area I have designated for my attempts at growing nutritious food, because that's really the goal. See, we've got a decent sized rest of the garden so the kids can cause havoc here. But this is a designated area for growing stuff. And it's worth remembering, well, I always think it's worth remembering the why behind it. And it really is, as a holistic nutritionist, the food that we eat can be like the most powerful medicine ever. And I've experienced that in my own body with my own hormones, gut health, mental health. I've seen that in hundreds of clients now, having been doing this job for many years. And I just wanted to learn how to grow nutritious food, how to grow healing food. So we have the 3 beds. The plan is to raise them up more. Maybe hopefully over the winter we'll do that. So they're more raised because there's various problems with them being so low down. We might also add, this is my plans for next year. So this isn't really a tour, this is ideas Kezia has in her head, of potentially making a bit of a polytunnel here, or a greenhouse, or some sort of polytunnel. We have this kind of space that doesn't massively get played with. We have these old tree stumps. So a decent chunk. We could put more vegetable beds in here, but being in Scotland, it is a very, well, I'm going to say this like I know what I'm talking about. I really don't. But it feels like there really is a limited growing season, and just being able to have a bit of a warmer, more consistent temperature, though you can regulate the temperature and the even the watering and stuff, I think would make a huge difference. So I'm tempted to get a little point on. If you've ever kept one, let me know how easy or not it is. I mentioned it to my husband because let's be honest, I have these ideas, and then he's often the one that does the majority of the legwork. Someone's just started mowing the lawn. So this is where I'm trying to grow vegetables. I've got a couple of carrots to pick here. This, if you've been following along, this bed has been deeply unsuccessful the entire season. I don't know why. I think it's probably because my kids dug up seeds, but I have replanted seeds and nothing has grown. So I think I must just miss the window. But I've still got lots of chard, lots of lettuce, some carrots. I've harvested them, but I had all my potato bags there, so I've harvested the potatoes. And then this is our new chicken run. So the lawnmower got really loud, so I'm going to give you the tour like this. So this is what we have built. I say we, me and my husband. We've done most of it ourselves. We bought the coop. It's an Astera coop. I've been looking at it for ages, but it's a decent space. At the moment, there was grass and a tiny bit of gravel. We're going to put some wood chip down on this because they're going to chew up the grass really quickly. I've got an old crusette pot, which is very, very fancy for their feed. And then with this is our makeshift, what I was pointing at is our makeshift shelter for them. We're going to make that a bit more stable. We did that quickly this weekend because the weather was so bad. And we also have our dust bath in the corner, which we've just made a little lean-to sheltering from. And the plan is probably to cover, well, the long-term plan is to actually cover all of the above, that basically create like a roof of netting. To help with predators and also to create a bit more of a solid kind of shelter to keep the rain off, because we're heading into winter here and we live on the west coast. There is a lot of rain. Chickens don't like having muddy feet, and I want to try and keep them as happy and healthy as possible. I'm often throwing in scraps and vegetables. They seem to love chard, which is great because I've got a lot of it. So we need to get a bit of an overhead shelter from a rain perspective and a predator perspective. But look, I'm just loving having these little creatures around. It's just so much fun. And then harvest time. So this is me collecting some of the eggs with some of the chard and some of the lettuce. And from a growing perspective, it's not been a huge success of a season when it comes to homesteading. A lot of lessons learned, a lot more progress to be made next year. But there's still some wins, and I'm feeling pretty chuffed about that. So this was our potato harvest. We got bigger ones last year. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I didn't plant them early enough, but a good amount of potatoes to get through. I mean, not enough to be self-sustaining, but don't quite know how to celebrate. I think this would equate to probably about 2 meals in my family. So I think we'll do a big roast dinner. Roast chicken, not one of our chickens because they're not for eating, they're for laying. And also, this wasn't planned at all. So here's our harvest, our little potato harvest. I also have, these are all the shop bought ones, but I'm very proud of this little bag. Well done, me. Look. Also, not planned, sorry, we have swings in every doorway in our house because it buys us like a couple of minutes with the kids. Not planned, but we have this window that looks straight onto the coop. So I'm just able to like throw scraps of food out into here and we can check on them in the morning. And we'll build a proper kind of covering over time to keep the foxes out as well. But it's quite nice, you can just check on the girls. Check they're doing okay. So far I think we have one who wants to be an escape artist. He's trying very hard to escape, but we'll see. So I have wanted to keep chickens for maybe about 10 years, maybe longer. The first house we bought was a flat, so obviously we couldn't keep chickens in our kind of communal garden. then our last house I really wanted to keep chickens in, but I got pregnant with our son, and then we moved house, and then when I was about 18, when my son was 18 months, I got pregnant with the girls, and yeah, I haven't had no headspace to care for another living thing. But yeah, so it does feel like a bit of a dream situation, and it's actually quite a lot of like work and tasks, if that makes sense. Probably more so than I thought, but I was thinking even at the weekend, some of it's just because it's getting started now that we've got the stuff set up. Like at the weekend we need to set up their dust baths and get them some shelter sorted, and we still need to fully sort out that kind of shelter from the rain because we live in Scotland, and we need to sort out the floor and fully cover that in wood chip. You know, there's lots of tasks. Once those are set up, it'll be easier. But I was just thinking, oh, it's so funny. Like it feels really nourishing, and it's not because I'm lounging around not doing anything. The thing I like about slow living, or my take on it, is it's not necessarily that you're not doing anything, you're just lounging around, but you're doing things that are really regulating for the nervous system. You're doing things that are helping you to kind of have a slower pace and connect with more of nature's rhythms, more of our seasonal, natural rhythms of life. Because I actually don't want to lounge around not doing anything and slow living, and the reason I'm trying to figure out how to grow vegetables and keep chickens is to actually try and disconnect from this cultural pace of go, 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 speed, and kind of constant hamster wheel, and actually connect more with nature and do tasks and have responsibilities. Like I've just got 8 chickens, so I've got 8 more things to be responsible for. But actually it feels, because those things are aligned, and it's something I wanted to do. I'm not saying everybody should keep chickens, but it's something I've wanted to do for years and years. It actually feels so nourishing, even though it's another task on my plate. Does that make sense? And I think that's what's interesting about slow living and slow nutrition. Being like Kezia, making all my food from scratch feels like it makes my life harder, or doesn't feel very slow. It feels quite pressurizing. And I think that can make sense at the beginning or looking into it, but it's actually when you connect with certain rhythms, certain systems that are more natural for human beings. Some of the stuff, like the way the whole food industry of convenience food, the majority of food that we have at a supermarket is so foreign to what humans have been eating and utilizing as food for the last many, many hundreds of years. And so it's just kind of stripping back some of the processing, some of the consumption, some of the layers of artificial nonsense that has come onto our daily lives, our daily schedules, our task lists, but also our plates. The amount of foods that I see families and children and adults eating, that I'm like, that's not even a food anymore. It's actually just trying to, I think slow living and slow nutrition and slow eating and food is really just about one step at a time, removing things that just aren't natural, just aren't part of our biological blueprint, and adding in more things that are more seasonal, more natural. And I think that's where my motivation anyway, to learn to grow vegetables, to gather my own eggs, to have my own little harvest comes from. It's just stripping away the stuff that's not really human and adding the stuff that is. So what are the principles of slow living nutrition? This is something I've been thinking about a little bit more. The relationship between slow living and regulating our nervous system and our food. And I think overall, I'm going to dive into this more in future videos, but it's really about taking away some of the convenience of food. Food has become highly convenient. And look, I'm very grateful for a lot of that. The last couple of years, when I had my twins and I had 3 kids under 2, I was really grateful, and I still am, for a lot of those convenience foods. And so it's not to say all of that is awful, but to the extremes of what we have taken it to, where we're really disconnected from our own food, I think is a really new thing for humans, and I'm not sure it's beneficial. Like, one of the reasons I wanted to get chickens is what I wanted my children to see, that food comes from animals, not just animals. And the reason I want to grow vegetables is so they could help me pick chard. Now, they're not going to eat the chard, obviously, because they're like 4 and 7. But I want them to see that food doesn't just come in little plastic packets. We gather our eggs from the chickens, and when we're eating chicken, we're eating an animal. We're not going to eat the chickens we have, they're for laying. But just to get that principle and idea to them, because a lot of the time we're really not thinking about, where does our food come from? How are animals being treated? Where is this coming from? And I'm not saying I've got it perfect, I really haven't. Like, I'm buying frozen blueberries from God knows where, the other side of the world. And the part of me is grateful for that. So this isn't throwing the water bathtub baby analogy. It's just about finding a healthy middle where we can get all the benefits of a more industrialized food system without all the negatives, or without all of the chemicals and negatives. And we want some of the convenience aspects of it, but food, good nutrition, should be slower. You know, growing vegetables doesn't happen in an instant. Healthy meals don't just instantly happen. And I'm a working mum. I have 2 jobs. I have 3 small children. So I'm not saying I spend 90 minutes every day cooking my meals. I'm actually trying to be really efficient with cooking foods from scratch. But my focus is cooking foods from scratch within a 25 to 30 minute time frame. But actually going, food should take up some of my time. That it has done for millennia for humans. And yes, there's modern things that makes it quicker, which I'm so grateful for, because now I'm not spending all day preparing a meal. I'm spending 30 minutes. What a gift that is, technology and this time that we live in. But it also isn't meant to take me 2 minutes. That probably means there's a bit of toxicity, there's chemicals, there's processing going on. And so it is a bit of a balance. We've got to be really kind and gracious to ourselves, but I think slow living, slow eating, slow nutrition is when we shift from food as pure convenience to shifting to food as medicine.